stake. Who's battling it out? Why should we care?
Absolutely, absolutely. And if it's okay with you, I'll go ahead and record this as well so that I can kind of make a YouTube video out of this.
Oh, nail it. Yeah, send it.
Nice,
Content stream hype.
nice, nice, nice. Okay, so in the
Contentception.
top left
Yes.
corner of Ravaged, we have Sqrtofneg1 playing with the red pieces, and we have in the bottom right-hand corner, we have Guinness playing with the blue pieces. Now, in case you're just joining us on the stream, or in case this is one of your first ever videos of Littlewargame that you're ever watching, let's talk about the context of what's going on first, right? So we are currently watching a best of 3 match between these two players, played in the $500 Littlewargame tournament. That's happened on the weekend of July the 8th, right? And these are the top 3 players. We just witnessed a match between Guinness and Aicy, where Guinness was able to beat Aicy in a very close 3-game match. And now we see that his opponent is Sqrtofneg, who has, I believe, already played Guinness. Is that correct?
Guinness played WeirdRat earlier. Sqrtofneg hasn't played Guinness yet.
Okay, so not quite yet. But
WeirdRat did 2-0 though. Guinness earlier.
that's absolutely right. The bracket we're playing in is a double round robin with a losers bracket, correct? So both of these players at some point have lost to someone, and
Yes.
and they are both playing for their tournament lives. Whoever wins this best of 3 is going to go and play in the finals match against WeirdRat, and whoever loses, they are going to be done with the tournament at 3rd place. So it's very exciting to see. Again, and I'm have the extreme pleasure of being a part of ItanoCircus stream, as well as being joined by SlammerIV, a very well-known and a very an excellent content creator for Littlewargame.
Absolutely. And with this, we've got a 2-den, nice teleport to get an initial hit. Looks like a 2-den of Guinness up against Sqrtofneg1's pretty standard 2-raider into expansion, or possibly expansion. What do you take of this, Slammer? Do you fear the intelligence of Guinness's wolves even more? Is this scarier than normal?
So, I think this is great for the Rax player. I feel like this feels good. I will say, I lost to this build by Guinness, so I don't know if I should comment. But to me, this should be really clean and easy defense. I do think a tower is good, though. I think you don't want to be too greedy against this. You could get yourself in trouble, but the Raiders should be able to handle the Wolves pretty easily here. And
we're seeing a bit of respect, as alluding to what you were talking about. Sqrtofneg1 not going for the extra worker, but instead immediately going for the 3rd raider. And it looks like they're trying to prop up the game with their control, rather than actually, I think the Wolves can just take this fight, actually, and that's kind of what Guinness has come up with, too, as well as the workers. Now, this is still interesting, because the workers can actually mine walk, right? They can mineral walk, essentially. They can gold walk. And the Raiders can teleport. So it's going to take a very committed, dedicated force. Maybe the Raiders will be low on teleport ammo or flash ammo, right? On mana.
Guinness is really respecting the workers. He didn't want to commit his wolves in there. But he's also getting his expansion up. So this is a pressure, but it's not completely all in. Oh, one Raider goes down. Big pick off.
I think it was on 24 energy, so I think AC, even if he was trying to micro it, it just didn't have the energy to go. So we do see
a good pick off of that one wolf. Every wolf that you get as you do these transfers is really important. Mm-hmm. And we do see a castle going down over here for Guinness. So this is pressure, as was alluded to by you earlier, Slammer, but it doesn't look like the intention is to win the game with this. Do you think job's done?
This is good control from Sqrtofneg. I always am tempted to just throw the tower down. I think I played a game, my one game I won against Sqrtofneg. Sqrtofneg went for the 2-den, and I just went for the tower. But Sqrtofneg has enough confidence in his micro just to actually make this even more efficient for him.
Yeah. he loses the one raider, but in exchange, he doesn't make a 125 gold defensive structure. Right? He allows his control to solve the problem for him.
And it lets him get the map control now, so he's going for a pretty fast third base now. Because he's got enough raiders to bully these wolves pretty efficiently. We'll see how Guinness can control this, though, because possibly with the right control, he might be able to chase these raiders down. But so far,
wait a second. This is getting really bad now for Guinness.
Yeah.
Like, a couple of flashes are going to be all the difference maker, especially since we've seen him do this really cute concave where he circles a wolf and then just one-shots a wolf. 51 damage times 3 is very often enough to hit these, like, even slightly tickled units to death.
And he keeps streaming the full health raiders up front. I mean, this is just really frustrating to deal with if you're the wolf player. 7 wolves to only 1 raider lost. Just very efficient raider control. And this is exactly the reason why I'm always afraid to go for a 2-den. It just feels like it loses to raiders if the raider player is really good on micro, which Square Root is one of the best in the business right now.
So it feels like a skill tax, right? Is what you're getting at. Negat, we're seeing a third base come over here from Guinness. Do you think that he's just saying, "I'll survive the Raiders"? That's fine.
No, I definitely think that's a mistake by him to do. But the funny thing is, I've called out some of his earlier plays in the previous match against Aicy, and they turned out incredibly beneficial for him. But again, at some point in my mind, I noted it down as a mistake. So I don't know if maybe Aicy didn't punish him for some of the plays that Guinness did last game, and now he thinks he can get away with some of these moves. Particularly at the very beginning of the engagement, even before, I think it was 5-4 raiders versus let's say about 10 wolves. The math in racks is kind of interesting, right? Because usually when you have about 3 wolves, you can actually pressure raiders, and some of the damage will stick, and you'll be able to micro your wolves around so that you can't really lose any wolves to one single raider. But the more raiders there are, the more wolves you will need. And so typically what I like to go for if I play Beast is 3 wolves per raider, and in this case the ratio was in Square Root's favor. So he had the ratio advantage. Even though he had fewer overall units, he had more effective combat strength.
Yes. I want to highlight very quickly, Square Root of -1's extremely good Raider micro kept the Raider on the left-hand side alive, and the Raider that's going to the upper right-hand base by abusing cliffs and teleports got a full scout, and I think this might be of concern to Guinness. We saw him punish a lot of plays that were around people who were teching a bit too aggressively with insufficient unit counts, and yet we look over here, just a defensive tower, a catapult, and a single Dragon's Lair. And then the scout of Square Root discovers, oh, you're going for dragons off of 3 base. Well, you expect to have a fairly normal unit count for that.
I don't think he actually got that information. If you press number 1, you should be able to see Square Root's vision.
Yes.
I don't.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
He was able to get in. It was. I think he started the fortress after. But that's kind of a late fortress. But everything for Square Root is kind of ahead. Right, he's got faster third base, more workers, faster tech.
Cost less, more gold mined, better rate of economy. One thing that's really making it hard for Square Root or for Guinness right now is that I know it's part of his build, but there are no snakes. There's a couple of snakes would make these raiders go away, and right now I feel like there are enough wolves to keep the raiders off the map, but almost not enough
Square
to
Root
accomplish
gets
anything else.
He gets the scout. Once he controls this raider, he's gonna get the scout, and he does. So he's gonna know it's dragons.
It's the kind of situation that the game state is such that Guinness doesn't really need the snakes here.
A good snipe at the third.
But
go on.
The problem right now for Guinness is he doesn't have an answer to dragons. His lair's not even done. No towers. He's going to struggle against these dragons. I think these dragons are kind of just a checkmate.
And a GG as he sees it show up. Yes. Now, interesting, there was one more coming over, but perhaps he had a chance to actually recover a little bit there. Start his own lair, start an advanced workshop. fairy units around, but he must have perceived that he was very far behind.
He was already behind, and I think it's not.
Yes.
I mean, there's no way to come back from the dragons.
He says it's the third time he's been caught off guard by a dragon transition. I think it's important to note that I think he was, for one of the first times, adequately punished for, pretending to go into dragons. Then he's going to get catapults, but he's also making werewolves, but he's also coming off of a 2-den where he's continuously making units. He just stretched his economy very thin, and he didn't have room for malleability or adaptability. He was so focused on the raiders that when he was done with the threats on the ground, he perceived a threat in the air he couldn't deal with.
Well, once you're already behind from the den opening, you can't lose that many wolves. I mean, he lost 17 wolves.
Yeah. I figured out the math mentally. So 2 raiders is 220 gold, and 5 wolves is 225 gold, right? So by gold efficiency, you expect to kill 5 wolves, 2 raiders, and the combat roughly favors that, right? Barring exceptional control. 17 to 2 is a factor of 3 times as effective as expected. Right? It's a very, very positive trade in his favor. It's a huge economic loss.
So we got the map up if you guys want to join.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a quick post down here.
Gotcha. Guinness takes game 1.